Alright, welcome back to Just Podding Around, the show where we deep dive into all things wrestling. Today, we're talking about one of the most infamous, outrageous, and downright hilarious factions in pro wrestling history. The Generation X, or DX for short. DX. If you weren't watching WWF in the 90s, you might not get it, but to the fans during the Attitude Era, they were the embodiment of rebellion. They were like wrestling's rock stars, crude, chaotic, and completely unpredictable. They broke rules, made fun of authority, and somehow made crotch chops and catchphrases into an art form. Fun fact, their "suck it" catchphrase was actually inspired by a real insult Triple H and Shawn Michaels would use backstage to mess with each other. And then it went global. Fans everywhere were doing crotch chops in the crowd. Absolute chaos. So, let's break down DX. Who they were, what they did, and why they're still legendary today. DX was born in 1997, during the WWF Attitude Era. A time when wrestling was shedding its cartoonish, family-friendly image for something edgier, dirtier, and more adult-oriented. Enter DX, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chyna, and Rick Rude. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, brought charisma, in-ring skill, and an attitude that screamed rebellion. Triple H, the cerebral and ambitious powerhouse, was a perfect counterbalance. Serious, cunning, and ready to push the limits. Chyna, the original ninth wonder of the world, shattered gender barriers in wrestling, dominating male opponents in a way no woman had before. Rick Rude, the honorary member, mostly acted as a manager, a lie, but added that extra edge. DX's whole vibe was anti-authority. They mocked everyone, bosses, fans, rival factions, and thrived on chaos. Their antics weren't just stunts, they were statements. In 1998, Shawn Michaels had to step away due to a back injury. This could have ended DX, but Triple H stepped up as leader and recruited X-Pac and the New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. This lineup transformed DX into a bigger, rowdier, more chaotic force. They didn't just wrestle, they performed. Promos were comedy gold. And yes, they invaded WCW in a Jeep with a fake cannon. Totally ridiculous, totally DX. Fun fact, Road Dogg's signature promos often included random shoutouts and phrases that made zero sense, but got the crowd hyped. His energy alone could sell a segment without a fight even happening. DX blurred comedy and chaos like no one else. One week, they'd impersonate a rival faction. The next, they'd be stealing Vince McMahon's office furniture live on TV. Their energy made them one of the hottest acts in wrestling, and a major factor in WWF winning the Monday Night Wars. Fun fact, during one segment, DX actually convinced some WWE staff to accidentally spill coffee on Vince's office floor. Classic mischief. DX later reunited in the 2000s, usually just Triple H and Shawn Michaels, with occasional appearance by X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn. These comebacks lean more on comedy than rebellion, feuding with the Spirit Squad, Vince and Shane McMahon, or other minor factions. But even in these lighter segments, they maintain the essence of DX, mocking authority, breaking rules, and reminding fans why they were legends. And here's some of their more infamous actions and moments through their history. The crotch chop and socket, the signature move used everywhere, instant crowd pop. Invading WCW, or the Jeep incident. A Jeep, a fake cannon, and total absurdity. Fans went nuts. Mocking the nation of domination. Dressing up and humiliating rival factions was comedic genius and pure psychological warfare. Feuding with Vince McMahon. One of the greatest angles ever. DX made Vince look ridiculous week after week. DX Army segments. Fans loved seeing DX rally soldiers. Costumes, props, chaos, total spectacle. And breaking the fourth wall. They openly referenced backstage politics, rival promotions and other wrestlers while staying in character. Fun fact, the DX Army concept actually inspired future wrestling stables to involve crowds and fans in storylines. DX basically pioneered interactive fan participation in WWE. So here's a recap of the DX members over the years. In the original DX, from 97 to 98, we had Shawn Michaels, the co-leader and the heart of the rebellion, Triple H, the co-leader and cerebral assassin of DX. Chyna broke down the barriers and dominated men and women alike. And Rick Rude, the honorary member / ally. We had the new DX from 98 to 2000, which was Triple H, who took full leadership, X-Pac, the high flyer and formerly of NWA, and Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, or the New Age Outlaws, the charismatic tag team, hilarious promos and heavy attitude. And Chyna continued breaking rules and main eventing. And the later reunions in 06, 09 and 2010s. Mostly Triple H and Shawn Michaels, sometimes joined by X-Pac, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. And other notable mentions, Rick Rude, brief involvement in the original run, and Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler leader. And also Hornswoggle appeared as a member during the 2010s. DX was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2019. They're credited with helping WWF shed its cartoonish image and embrace the edgier attitude era. Their catchphrases, antics, and rebellious spirit are still remembered and imitated decades later. Fun fact, even athletes outside of wrestling, like the NFL and the MLB players, have used their DX crotch chop as a celebrational gesture. That's cultural impact right there. Basically, DX weren't just a faction, they were wrestling's ultimate rebels. Controversial, hilarious, sometimes juvenile, but absolutely unforgettable. So, that's DX. Chaos, comedy, and pure rebellion wrapped into one unforgettable package. If you grew up watching the WWF in the late 90s, you know exactly what kind of impact they had. They weren't just wrestlers, they were a movement. So that's it for today's episode of Just Podding Around. If you've ever busted out a crotch chop in public, you want to hear about it. Send me your stories and we might feature them in the next episode. Until then, suck it.